Red Pill Philosophy is a YouTuber we've looked at before. You should remember him. He was the high IQ skeptic guy.
Hey guys, a little bit late, but I'm up doing a little bit of high IQ, skeptic research.
Well, he is back, and today he's jumped on that other flat earth bandwagon, the anti-space team. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Before we begin today, we're going to have a quick update on the Globe Lie tour. If you haven't already heard, then things aren't going well for them. They've already dropped some dates from the schedule and are thinking about shifting other ones around. As I said last week, to the hundreds of you that emailed me who wanted to take part in the mass debunking, hopefully I can get an update soon on all the new dates. In the meantime, they did actually meet up with the Globe Lie convention in Kidderminster a couple of weekends ago. It was here that I learnt that legendary urine therapist, allegedly Dave, was going for a world record attempt of most amount of times to ride round a car park on a one-wheeled Segway. Let's check in with him and see how he's feeling before the big attempt. And the fact that he has to cut some of the car park out because of all of the flat earthers' cars at the conference. He's looking good. I wonder if he thinks he'll do okay though.
Yes. Hope it's going to go well because I had to cut lots out, as you know.
Those pesky cars.
So yeah, I hope it's going to go well. Yeah.
Thank you.
See you in the morning.
Mark Sargent was asked about Dave's chances of breaking the record as well. Let's see what he thought.
I love the venue. Well, the weather. This is beautiful. Absolutely wonderful.
Clearly thinks that it will go well. Good luck, Dave. Let's hope that the 12 flat earthers in attendance to the conference got out of the car park okay. More on the Globe Lie tour soon. Right, back to today's video, and once again Red Pill Philosophy is the focus of this channel. But last time when we looked at him, he made a high IQ skeptical response.
Literally, like flat Earth. I mean, and again, there's a reason I call him Satan Dan. I mean, I just paused the video here by chance. There's a reason I call him Satan Dan. Flat Earth is the ultimate litmus test for skepticism. It really is, believe it or not.
Now, I do often think that this guy is just trolling both communities, but I have seen him in debates regularly defending the flat earth and anti-space theories. So let's take a look at his video about space and how he thinks it's all just fantasy.
Hey, what's up everybody? So, in my skeptical, pro-skepticism journey into just being a skeptic in general, basically, I was recently thinking about space, and you know how very few people, I mean, if you consider the billions of people who live on the face of the earth, it's got to be, just compare that to the proportionally tiny little number of people who've been to space. Space is something that everyone pretty much believes in.
563 people to be exact have gone to space, and it's not whether or not we believe in space, because it's there whether we like it or not. It's can we accept that we live on a planet within space?
But a very, very, very tiny minority of people have been to space. So I was just thinking to myself, it's crazy, this whole space is fake thing, right? I'm like, let me put my skeptic cap on, let's just like be a skeptic here, because I've always been a fan of basically being skeptical, hey, let's be skeptics, I just feel like everyone should love being a skeptic. That's basically my view. So,
I think that he's got a thing for the word skeptic. Either that, or he is monumentally taking the mick.
So you know what? This whole space is fake. What if space is fake? Well, if space is fake, then that would mean that space is fantasy.
Well, there are stories about space that you could consider as fantasy, yes, but that doesn't mean that space doesn't exist.
It's a fantasy. It's pure fantasy. And it got me thinking about how, well, if space is just a literal fantasy, it doesn't exist, then science fiction should no longer be called science fiction.
You realise that fiction means not true, don't you? Please tell me you do.
Science fiction, if space is fake, and everything we think we know about space, from the moon landing to cultural representations of space with Star Wars and Star Trek, all the space propaganda, if it turns out that space is fake, then science fiction is nothing more than fantasy.
Dear oh dear, he thinks fiction is real, doesn't he? I would say that science fiction can be classed as fantasy, but I would also say that space is real.
Everything you've ever seen about space, from spaceships flying and shooting things and landing on other spheres light years away from Earth, all these grand things that only exist on a TV screen for 99% of the population, excluding the tiny percent who have allegedly been to space, if you believe that, then that means that science fiction, why would they separate science fiction from the fantasy category? Think about that for a second.
Well, I would say that science fiction is always based on truth that has fictitious ideas about science woven through the narrative. For example, a science fiction film can be based on Earth, which we know is real, but have aspects to it that are made up, like travelling in a DeLorean through time. And I would say fantasy is pretty much all made up, like the film Avatar. They are different, but essentially they're both fiction.
You go search any bookstore. You have your fantasy section, and then you have science fiction. And in many cases, science fiction is about space. But if space is fake, then science fiction falls under fantasy now. Because think about how oxymoronical that is. What an oxymoron that is. Science, if anything, means truth. Fiction means fake.
So he does understand it, which confuses me even more.
It's like a clash of terms. It's almost like they put it right there in front of your face. It's science, the pursuit of truth. And it's fiction, it's fake. Now, of course, they mean science fiction. But my point is, if space turns out to be fake, then that means science fiction is nothing more than science fantasy. Indeed, why even put the word science there if it's all just a big fantasy?
Because science does more than just talk about space. It fixes you when you're poorly. It allows you to communicate with others. It provides you with clean water and electricity. I could go on.
You go ahead and you look through it, and science fiction, most of it is spheres and space. It's almost entirely spheres and space and aliens. And I found that to be very, very interesting. Because you know what? More powerful than the moon landing, more powerful than sitting in a science class, more powerful than anything NASA tells you, is probably the cultural representation of space, the cultural presentation of space.
He could say books, TV and films rather than say cultural all the time. But I disagree anyway. I don't think there's anything more powerful than watching a member of your own species set foot on a rock that's almost 400,000 kilometres away. That is real science, something to really be in awe of.
Just telling you, it's just think about the impact Star Wars has, Star Trek, science fiction in general, movies like Alien or Aliens. This is a big part of culture about what the human mind creates.
Yes, but we understand that that's fiction. We get that, and we even crave it. But it's important that we understand that real space travel exists as well.
The problem is, Instead of putting it in the category of fantasy, they slap the word science in front of it, and now you suddenly think that this is somehow based in truth.
Which it often is.
So, this is sort of a random video, guys. I know I haven't uploaded in weeks, so I probably have a bunch of, new subscribers who don't, this video is completely out of left field, and, that's fine. If this isn't what you're into, then, you can just smash the unsubscribe button.
I'm sure they will as well.
But yeah, this is just, just me continuing on my, just my skeptical journey, just being like a skeptic, and like, ever since I heard about the skeptic community, I was like, oh wow, there's like a community like online, like the skeptic. You guys ever heard of like the skeptic community? It was fucking wild.
He has to be taking the mick, surely.
And so once I heard that there was like the skeptic community, I was like, oh shit. So like it's like politically correct to be skeptical. It's like, oh, this is cool. So now ever since then, like I put my skeptic hat on, and now I'm just like a skeptic, dude. I'm just like asking questions and being skeptical. Like it's just like being a skeptic. It's great.
Literally said a lot of words and ended up saying nothing there.
So that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, man, that stuff is flat. This is a quote from Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is not me saying this shit. Or he says you can't see Earth's curvature from 128,000 feet high with a very wide field of view. So what an ironic and hilarious troll. That stuff is flat. T-shirts are available. The link is right down there in the description. That's it for now. Thank you guys for watching.
What an extremely peculiar man. And a very odd video as well. It made no sense. Overall, I think he did more harm than good to the Flat Earth and Anti-Space Brigade. Right, that brings this episode of Tinfoil Tuesday to a satisfying close. Thank you very much for joining me. If you enjoyed it today, then please do like and subscribe. I have been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great week, and I'll see you all on Friday for the return of Orphan Red. See you then.